Captain Ho sat in his command chair aboard the KSDF Indomitable. The ship was on routine patrol near the outer sectors when the communications panel started beeping. It was a strange sound, weak and broken. "Captain, I'm picking up something," said Lieutenant Hayone from her station. She pressed her headset closer to her ear, trying to hear better. "It's a distress signal, but it's very faint." Ho stood up and walked over to her console. "Can you clean it up?" Hayone's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. The bridge became quiet as everyone waited. Then, through the static, a voice came through. It was weak and filled with fear. "Under attack, please, anyone, children dying, help us." The voice cut out. Hayone tried to get more, but there was only silence. Commander Ho's second officer moved to stand beside him. "That's a transmission pattern," she said. Her face was serious. "They don't have enemies, they're peaceful, they don't even have weapons." Ho knew about everyone in the galaxy knew about them. They were thin, gentle creatures who loved art and thinking about big questions. They had never hurt anyone. The idea that someone was attacking them made his blood run cold. "Where is it coming from?" Ho asked. "The colony, sir. It's about 4 days away at maximum speed." Hayone looked up at him. "Captain, the signal is 6 days old. Whatever is happening there." She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Ho understood. 6 days was a long time during an attack. "Send everything to Fleet Command," Ho ordered. "Mark it Priority 1. For the next hour, the crew worked to pull out any information they could from the broken signal. They found more fragments, pieces of screaming, the sound of explosions, and once, just for a moment, a child's voice crying for their mother. That last sound made even the hardest soldiers on the bridge look away. The response from Earth Fleet Command came back faster than expected. Admiral Dong's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired and angry. "We've received your transmission, Indomitable," the Admiral said. "We're analyzing it now. Initial reports suggest the Dominion is responsible." Made a disgusted sound. They're bullies. They push around smaller species and take what they want." Admiral Dong nodded. "That's correct, Commander. We're calling an emergency meeting with Fleet Command to decide our response. Stand by for orders." The screen went dark. Ho walked back to his chair but didn't sit. He couldn't. That child's voice kept playing in his head. "Captain," said Lieutenant Sang-ho from Engineering, "if we push the engines hard, we could get there in 3.5 days instead of 4. "Do it," Ho said immediately. "I don't care if you have to duct tape the reactor together. Get us there faster." Hours passed. The crew of the Indomitable waited for orders from Earth. Some tried to sleep. Most couldn't. They all knew what was probably happening on that colony world. They had no way to defend themselves. Then, 12 hours after the first signal, another transmission came through. This one was even worse than the first. Hayone's hands shook as she played it for the bridge crew. At first there was just noise, explosions, weapons fire. Then a small voice, a child, maybe 6 or 7 years old in human terms. "Please help us," the child said. Their voice was so scared. "They're hurting everyone. My parents are gone. Please, someone help us. We don't want to die, please." The transmission ended with the sound of something terrible. Then nothing. The bridge was completely silent. Ho saw tears on Hayone's face. Jaw was clenched so tight he thought her teeth might break. Even the normally calm Sang-ho looked ready to hit something. "Sir, we have to do something," said quietly. "We can't just listen to this and do nothing." Before Ho could respond, the communications panel lit up again. This time it was a direct channel from Earth, not just Admiral Dong. This was Fleet Admiral Woojin himself, the commander of all Earth military forces. "All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Woojin," the message began. The Admiral's voice was cold as ice. "The debate is over. We will not sit and talk while children die. Is being assembled. 17 ships. We leave in 6 hours." Ho felt relief wash over him. 17 ships. That was serious. That was everything humanity could send to that region. The admiral continued. The Dominion has made a choice. They chose to attack the defenseless. They chose to ignore every law of war. They chose to kill children. We will show them that choices have consequences. There was a pause, then Wu Jin spoke again. His voice somehow became even colder. Rules of engagement are simple. They get one chance to surrender. 1. If they refuse, we remove them from that system, permanently. No prisoners unless they give up immediately. No mercy for those who showed none to others. The message ended with coordinates and rendezvous times. The Indomitable was ordered to join immediately. Ho turned to his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting. He saw the anger in their eyes, the same anger he felt. "You heard the Admiral," Ho said. "Set course for the rendezvous point. Maximum speed. Engineering, I don't care if the engines glow red. Get us there." "Yes, sir," Sang Ho's reply came immediately. "Move to the tactical station. I'll start preparing combat scenarios. They usually travel in groups of 8 to 10 ships. We'll have them outnumbered, but they're not pushovers." "It doesn't matter," Ho said flatly. "They're attacking children, they die." The Indomitable changed course. Around Earth, 16 other warships were doing the same. Crews loaded weapons. Fighters were armed. Marines checked their equipment. The galaxy had rules about war. There were conventions, agreements, ways that civilized species fought each other, but humanity was new to the galaxy. They had only been part of the Galactic Council for 40 years, and they had learned something important in that time. Sometimes the rules didn't matter. Sometimes someone needed to stand up and say no more. Sometimes being civilized meant being willing to do uncivilized things to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The colony was 4 days away. For the people there, it probably felt like forever, but help was coming, and when it arrived, they would learn something about. Humans didn't forgive those who hurt children, and they never, ever forgot. 4 days felt like 4 years. The crew of barely slept during the journey. They ran combat drills. They checked weapons systems. They prepared for what was coming. Captain Ho spent most of his time on the bridge of the Indomitable, drinking coffee and staring at the countdown timer. 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. Every hour that passed, more people might be dying on the colony. Finally, the moment came. The 17 ships have dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. What they saw made everyone freeze. "Oh God," whispered Hayone. The colony world hung in space ahead of them. Even from this distance, they could see the fires. Entire sections of the planet glowed orange and red. Smoke filled the atmosphere in thick clouds. "Run a scan," ordered Fleet Admiral Wu Jin from his flagship. His voice came through clearly on all channels. "I want to know everything." Commander Jin, the tactical officer aboard Wu Jin's ship, worked quickly. Her fingers flew over her console as data started coming in. What she found made her stomach turn. "Admiral, I'm detecting life signs on the planet's surface," Jin reported. Her voice was carefully controlled, but Ho could hear the emotion underneath. "Current population reading is approximately 80,000. "And before the attack?" Wu Jin asked quietly. 3.2 million, sir." The number hung in the air. 3.2 million had lived on that colony. Now only 80,000 remained. In less than 2 weeks, over 3 million people had died. "Fleet status," Wu Jin's voice was like ice. 9 ships in orbit, sir. They're in a blockade formation around the planet. There." Jin paused, checking her readings again. "They're systematically destroying the remaining cities, one section at a time." Pulled up the tactical display on the Indomitable. She could see the ships clearly now. They were big, ugly things, all weapons and armor, no grace or beauty, just tools for killing. "They're not even trying to invade," said. "They're just murdering everyone." Captain Ah of the destroyer Righteous Fury broke into the channel. I'm monitoring communications, sir. There. They're broadcasting this, sending it out to other systems as a warning. What are they saying? Asked Wu Jin. Ah's voice was filled with disgust. They're laughing. They're making jokes about how weak they are, about how any world that resists them will end up the same way. Their exact words were resist and die. Ho felt his hands tighten on his chair's armrests. Around him, his crew looked ready to tear something apart with their bare hands. When was the last transmission from the colony? Wu Jin asked. 9 hours ago, sir, Haewon replied. Since then, nothing. 9 hours. That meant for 9 hours the people down there had been alone, no one coming, no one helping, just waiting to die. Open a channel to the flagship, Wu Jin ordered. All frequencies, I want everyone to hear this. There was a moment of static, then the channel opened. Fleet Admiral Wu Jin spoke, and his voice was completely calm. That somehow made it more frightening. This is Fleet Admiral Wu Jin of the United Earth Defense Force. You will cease fire immediately. You will power down your weapons. You will prepare to be boarded. You have 3 minutes to comply. For a moment there was silence. Then a voice came back. It was deep and wet-sounding, like someone talking through mud. The commander. Humans? The alien voice sounded amused. We've heard stories about your kind. Barbarians from a savage world. You should leave now, little humans, before we add your ships to the debris field. The commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. You're outnumbered. We have 9 ships to your. What? A handful. Go home. This doesn't concern you. Wu Jin's expression didn't change. He didn't look angry. He didn't look upset. He just looked cold. You had your chance, Wu Jin said simply. Then he closed the channel. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The human fleet and the fleet faced each other across empty space. The colony burned below them. Then Wu Jin spoke again, this time only to his own ships. All vessels, this is Fleet Admiral Wu Jin. Go to battle stations. Arm all weapons. Rules of engagement are as follows. Weapons free on all ships. No warnings. No second chances. No survivors unless they surrender in the next 60 seconds. Across the 17 human ships, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed. Gun ports opened. Fighter bays lit up as pilots ran to their craft. Aboard the Indomitable, Ho stood up. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. Engineering, give me everything the reactor has. Weapons, arm all forward guns. Fighters, launch when ready. Brought up the tactical display. Captain, they are moving. They're forming up for combat. Good, Ho said. Let them. Lieutenant Sang Ho's voice came from engineering. Captain, I'm pushing the reactor to 110%. We'll have about 2 hours at this level before things start getting dangerous. We won't need 2 hours, Ho replied. On the flagship, the commander was giving orders to his ships. He wasn't worried. 9 warships against 17 human vessels. The numbers looked good for the humans, but the commander knew his ships were tough. He'd fought dozens of battles. Humans were new to space warfare. They would be cautious, careful, afraid to take losses. He was wrong. The 60 seconds passed. The ships powered up their weapons, ready to teach these humans a lesson. Then Fleet Admiral Wu Jin said one word. Execute. What happened next would become legend across the galaxy. The human fleet didn't advance carefully. They didn't try to feel out the enemy's strength. They didn't probe for weaknesses. They simply attacked with everything they had. The Indomitable, along with 5 other human ships, accelerated straight toward the line. Not at combat speed, at ramming speed. Captain, we're going to crash into them, someone shouted. I know, Ho said calmly. Maintain course. The commander watched in shock as the human ships came straight at him. They're insane. All ships open fire. The weapons lit up space. Plasma cannons, particle beams, missiles, everything they had. The human ships took the hits on their forward shields, which flashed and sparked but held. And the humans didn't slow down. "All guns fire," Ho ordered. The Indomitable's forward cannons opened up. That fired metal slugs at a fraction of light speed, laser batteries that could cut through armor, missile pods that launched dozens of warheads. The other human ships did the same. Suddenly, space was full of fire and death. They had expected a traditional battle, ship-to-ship combat at long range, careful maneuvering. This wasn't that. This was something else. This was rage given form. As the range closed, Captain Ah's voice came over the fleet channel. She was laughing, actually laughing as her ship traded shots with a cruiser. "For the," she shouted. And across the fleet, hundreds of human voices answered. "For the." The battle had begun, and they were about to learn what it meant to anger a species. The Dominion had fought many battles across the galaxy. They knew how warfare worked. Most species fought carefully. They valued their ships and their lives. They retreated when things got bad. They accepted surrender. Humans did none of these things. The Indomitable crashed through the defensive line like a hammer through glass. Captain Ho stood on his bridge, feet planted wide, as his ship shook from weapons impacts. "Shield strength at 70%, called out a crew member. "Keep going," Ho said. "Don't slow down." Next to the Indomitable, two more human destroyers pushed forward. They moved in a tight formation, their shields overlapping. They poured fire into them, but the human ships just kept coming. Commander watched her tactical board. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage to the forward sections. Can we still fight?" "Yes, sir." "Then we're fine. Target the flagship. All weapons." The Indomitable's guns turned toward the largest ship. It was 3 times bigger than any human vessel, covered in thick armor and bristling with weapons. It should have been impossible to take down. "Should have been." "Fire," Ho said. Every gun on the Indomitable fired at once. Slugs tore through space at incredible speed. Missiles streaked toward the flagship. Laser beams cut across the darkness. The flagship's shields flashed bright blue as they absorbed the impacts, but human weapons weren't designed to be gentle. Each hit weakened the shield a little more, and the Indomitable wasn't alone. 5 other human ships were all firing at the same target. The flagship started to turn, trying to present its heavy side armor. It wasn't fast enough. The shields collapsed. For just a moment, the flagship was exposed. That moment was all the humans needed. A slug from the destroyer Righteous Fury punched straight through the flagship's hull. It went in one side and out the other, leaving a hole you could fly a fighter through. Atmosphere vented into space in a white cloud. "Direct hit," shouted Captain Ah over the fleet channel. "Keep hitting them." The commander inside that flagship was trying desperately to save his ship. Alarms were screaming. Half his crew was dead, but he was a warrior. He would not give up. "All guns return fire," he ordered. "Kill those humans." The flagship's massive main cannon charged up. It was designed to destroy planets. Against a single ship, it would be devastating. The weapon aimed at the Indomitable. Commander saw it. "Captain, they're targeting us with their main gun." "I see it," Ho replied calmly. "Can we evade?" "Not at this range, sir." Ho thought for exactly 2 seconds. "Then we don't evade. Transfer all power to forward shields, all of it. Engines, weapons, life support, everything. Put it all on the forward shield." "Sir, that will leave us defenseless everywhere else." "Do it." Lieutenant Sang-ho didn't argue. Down in engineering, he pulled every bit of power the reactor had and channeled it forward. The Indomitable's forward shield began to glow with gathered energy. The main cannon fired. The beam was as wide as the Indomitable itself, pure energy that could vaporize a mountain. It hit the human ship dead center. For a moment, everyone on the bridge thought they were dead. The ship shook like it was being torn apart. Lights flickered. Consoles exploded. Someone screamed. but the forward shield held. The beam pushed against it, trying to break through. Energy crackled and sparked. Metal groaned, but the shield held. And then the beam stopped. The flagship's main gun needed time to recharge, time they didn't have. Now, Ho shouted, hit them with everything. The Indomitable fired every weapon it had left. So did the other human ships. The flagship, already badly damaged, couldn't take it. Its hull split open. Internal explosions tore through the ship from inside. In seconds, it was breaking apart. Flagship is down, reported. They are breaking formation. She was right. Without their commander, the ship started to panic. Some tried to run. Others fired wildly in all directions. Their careful military discipline fell apart. The humans showed no mercy. Commander launched in her fighter, leading a squadron of 30 pilots. They screamed through space toward a cruiser that was trying to escape. The cruiser's point defense guns opened up, trying to shoot down the fighters. 3 human fighters exploded, then 2 more. Watched her people die and felt rage burn inside her. Keep going, she shouted to her pilots. For Earth, for the... Her squadron pushed through the defensive fire. They were close enough now to see the ship's hull, targeted the engine section, and fired all her missiles at once. The other fighters did the same. Dozens of missiles struck the cruiser's engines. There was a bright flash, and then the entire back half of the ship simply disappeared in a fireball. Target destroyed, said coldly. She didn't feel happy about it, she just felt empty, moving to the next target. Captain Ah was having her own battle. Her ship, the Righteous Fury, was facing down a destroyer. The 2 ships circled each other, trading shots. The destroyer was faster and had better shields, but Captain Ah had something that didn't. She had anger. Match their speed, she ordered. Stay close, don't let them get away. The Righteous Fury moved like it was dancing with the enemy ship. Every time they turned, Ah was there. Every time they tried to create distance, she closed it. Captain, we're taking damage, her tactical officer reported. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Shield generator 2 is offline. Can we still fight? Yes, ma'am. Then keep firing. The 2 ships hit each other again and again. The destroyer was stronger, but Ah was willing to trade damage. Her ship could take a beating. She just needed one good shot. There, the destroyer turned slightly to bring more guns to bear. For just a moment, its engine section was exposed. Fire all forward guns, Ah ordered, now. The Righteous Fury's cannons fired at point-blank range. The shots tore into the destroyer's engines. The ship shuddered and went dark. No power, no weapons, just a dead hulk floating in space. Ah didn't destroy it. She left it there, crew still alive inside but unable to fight or run. A warning to others. Across the battlefield, the pattern repeated. Human ships fought with a fury that shocked them. They took risks no sane commander would take. They traded damage that should have made them retreat. They fought like their ships didn't matter, like only the mission mattered. Lieutenant Sang-ho worked in the Indomitable's engineering section, which was now half destroyed. Fires burned around him. Broken pipes vented steam. But he stayed at his post, routing power where it was needed most. Captain, I can give you one more shot from the main guns, he called up to the bridge. After that, we're dry. The reactor can't take any more. One shot is all I need, Ho replied. He looked at his tactical display. Of the 9 ships, 6 were destroyed or crippled. 3 were trying to run. All ships, Fleet Admiral Woojin's voice came over the fleet channel. Do not let them escape. Run them down. I want every ship that came here destroyed. The remaining 3 vessels broke formation and ran in different directions. The humans split up to chase them. The battle had lasted 40 minutes. In that time, they had learned something important about. They didn't fight like civilized species. They fought like predators, like hunters, like something that crawled up from a deadly world and survived by being the scariest thing in the dark. And now there was nowhere to run. The three surviving ships scattered like frightened animals. They ran in different directions, hoping at least one would escape. They would report what happened here. They would warn their people about the humans. But Fleet Admiral Wu Jin had no intention of letting anyone escape. "Target assignments," he said calmly. "Group Alpha, take the ship heading toward the asteroid field. Group Beta, the one running toward the outer planets. Group Gamma, you have the ship trying to reach hyperspace distance." Commander Jin tracked all three targets on her display. "Sir, the one heading for hyperspace will make it in approximately 12 minutes. Then Group Gamma has 12 minutes to stop it. Send them the coordinates." Captain Wu of the cruiser Vengeance Protocol received his orders. His target was the ship trying to reach the asteroid field. The alien vessel was fast, but Wu's ship was faster. "Push the engines to maximum," he ordered. "I want that ship." The Vengeance Protocol surged forward. Behind it, two destroyers followed. The three human ships moved like wolves chasing prey. The ship saw them coming and turned to fire. Plasma bolts streaked through space. One hit the Vengeance Protocol's shield. Another missed. A third struck one of the destroyers, tearing a hole in its side. The destroyer kept coming. Wu smiled coldly. "They still don't understand. We don't stop, close to boarding range." The captain couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human ship was going to board them, in the middle of a battle. That was insane. But humans were insane. The Vengeance Protocol came alongside the vessel. Boarding tubes shot out and attached to the alien hull with magnetic clamps. Then explosives went off, blowing holes through the thick armor. "Marines, go," Wu ordered. Corporal Nu led her squad through the boarding tube. She was the first one through the breach, her rifle up and ready. Behind her, 20 more Marines followed. They found themselves in a cargo bay. The aliens were waiting for them, armed and ready to fight. They were big, maybe 7 feet tall, covered in thick scales. They looked dangerous. They weren't dangerous enough. The firefight lasted 30 seconds. The Marines moved like they had trained their entire lives for this moment. They used cover, supported each other, and advanced steadily. They tried to hold them back but couldn't. Na shot 3 soldiers herself. She felt nothing but cold determination. These were the creatures who had killed children. They deserved no sympathy. Her squad pushed deeper into the ship. They found more soldiers hiding in the corridors. Some tried to fight. Some tried to surrender. "Please," one begged, dropping his weapon. "We surrender, please, we surrender." Na remembered the intercepted transmissions, the sounds of families being executed, the laughter of soldiers as they killed civilians. She looked at the alien kneeling in front of her. "You didn't accept surrender from them," she said quietly. "Why should we accept it from you?" Her rifle fired once, they fell. Her squad moved on. Within 20 minutes they had taken the entire ship. The crew was dead or dying. The ship was now a prize of war. "Vengeance Protocol, this is Corporal Na. Ship is secure." "Copy that, Corporal," Wu replied. "Set charges and evacuate. We're not taking prisoners." Na and her squad planted explosives throughout the ship. Then they returned to their own vessel. As soon as they were clear, the charges went off. The ship broke apart and burned. 1 down, 2 to go. Captain Ho was chasing the second vessel. This one was running toward the outer planets, hopping to hide in the radiation belts around a gas giant. The Indomitable followed, pushing damaged engines as hard as they would go. Lieutenant Sang Ho was performing miracles down in engineering, keeping the ship together with determination and spare parts. "Captain, we're gaining on them," reported. She was back on the bridge now, her fighter recovered. "They'll reach the gas giant in 8 minutes. "We'll catch them in 6, Ho said. "Charge the main guns, 1 shot, make it count." The range closed, 5 kilometers, 4, 3. The ship was right in front of them now. "Fire!" The Indomitable's main fired. The slug crossed the distance in less than a second. It hit the ship's engine section and punched straight through. The alien vessel's reactor went critical. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. When it faded, there was nothing left but debris. "Target destroyed," said. She marked it off on her tactical display. "That's two." The third ship was 12 minutes from hyperspace. It was going to make it. The human ships chasing it weren't fast enough to catch up in time. But they didn't need to catch up. Commander Jin calculated the trajectory carefully. "Sir, I have a firing solution. If we fire now, the slug will intercept them in 10 minutes. At this range," Wu Jin raised an eyebrow, "that's a 1 in 1,000 shot." "Yes, sir, but it's the only shot we have." Wu Jin didn't hesitate. "Take it." Jin's fingers flew over her controls. She calculated wind, or what passed for wind in space. She calculated the target's speed and direction. She calculated the curvature of spacetime from the nearby star. Then she fired. The slug left the human flagship at a fraction of light speed. It traveled through empty space, covering thousands of kilometers every second. The ship had no idea it was coming. The slug hit the fleeing vessel right in the center. It went through the ship like it wasn't even there. The vessel broke in half. But it wasn't dead yet. The front section was still intact, still moving toward hyperspace. In another 2 minutes, it would escape. Then the human ship saw something. The front section of the ship started to slow down. Its engines were firing but backwards, trying to stop. "Sir, they're surrendering," Jin said. "I'm receiving a distress signal. They're begging for mercy." Fleet Admiral Wu Jin's face was like stone. He opened a channel to the ship. "This is Fleet Admiral Wu Jin," he said. "You invoke mercy. You who showed none to you who laughed as children died." The captain's voice came back, desperate and afraid. "Please, we surrender. We invoke the Galactic Conventions. You must accept our surrender." "The Galactic Conventions," Wu Jin repeated slowly. "Tell me, did they invoke those conventions when you attacked them? Did you listen when they begged for mercy?" There was silence from the ship. "That's what I thought," Wu Jin said coldly. "There is no convention that saves you from us now. You made your choice when you decided to kill the innocent. Now face the consequences." He closed the channel and looked at Jin. "Finish it." Jin targeted the front section of the ship. All the human vessels in range did the same. They fired together. The last ship disappeared in a ball of fire. The battle was over. 9 warships had entered this system. 9 warships were now destroyed. Not one had escaped. Not one survivor would return home with news of what happened. Well, that wasn't quite true. There was one ship left. The one that Captain Ah had disabled earlier. It drifted in space, dark and powerless, but the crew was still alive inside. "Admiral, what about the disabled ship?" Ah asked. Wu Jin thought about it. "Leave it. Let them drift. Eventually, someone will find them. Let them tell the story of what happens when you anger humanity." The human fleet reformed around the colony. They had won. But looking at the burning planet below, it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like they had arrived too late. The human fleet moved into orbit around the colony. The fires were still burning. Smoke covered half the planet. From space, you could see where entire cities had been. Captain Ho stood on his bridge and looked at the planet below. He felt sick. "Deploy all medical teams," Fleet Admiral Wu Jin ordered. "Marines, secure the surface. I want survivors found and protected. Move fast." Launched from every human vessel, they carried doctors, nurses, medics, and supplies. Doctor led the medical teams from the Indomitable. She had seen war before, but nothing prepared her for what she found on the surface. The cities were in ruins, buildings had collapsed, streets were cratered from explosions, and everywhere there were bodies, so many bodies. There were small, thin creatures. They looked almost fragile. In death, they looked even smaller. Doctor's team moved through the wreckage, looking for survivors. They found them in basements and bunkers. Families huddled together, too scared to come out even though the shooting had stopped. "It's okay," said gently to each group they found. "We're here to help. The bad ones are gone, you're safe now." Some believed her, some didn't. They had been living in fear for too long. The medical team set up field hospitals. They worked day and night treating the injured, burns, broken bones, wounds from weapons, and trauma, so much trauma. Captain Ho came down to the surface on the second day. He walked through one of the refugee camps that the Marines had set up. Tents stretched in long rows. Thousands of sat quietly, staring at nothing. A small child approached him. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old in human terms. She was dirty and thin. Her large eyes looked up at Ho. In her small hands she held something, a carved stone. Ho recognized it from his briefings. It was a traditional gratitude token, something they gave to people who helped them. The child placed it carefully in Ho's hand. She didn't say anything. She just looked at him with those big eyes, then walked away. Ho stood there holding the stone. He felt something break inside his chest. They had won the battle. They had destroyed the enemy, but they had still been too late. 3 million people were dead. He put the stone in his pocket and kept walking. News of the battle spread across the galaxy fast. Within a week, everyone knew what had happened at the colony. The story got bigger with each telling, but the basic facts remained the same. The Dominion had attacked a peaceful colony. Humanity had responded with overwhelming force. Not one ship survived. The Galactic Council was in an uproar. Many species were shocked by how brutal the human response had been. Destroyed ships were normal in war, but no survivors, no prisoners. That was unusual. An emergency session was called. Fleet Admiral Wu Jin was summoned to explain humanity's actions. Ambassador accompanied Wu Jin to the council chambers. The building was enormous, designed to hold representatives from hundreds of different species. All of them were there today. Wu Jin stood in the center of the room. Above him, the council members looked down from their seats. Some looked angry, some looked afraid, a few looked curious. The council speaker, a tall being covered in blue scales, spoke first. "Fleet Admiral Wu Jin of Earth, you are here to answer questions about your actions at the colony. The council has reviewed the battle records. We find your use of force to be excessive." Wu Jin said nothing. He just waited. "You destroyed 9 ships," the speaker continued. "You took no prisoners except for one disabled vessel. You ignored surrender requests. You violated multiple galactic conventions regarding warfare. How do you justify this?" Wu Jin looked around the chamber. He saw representatives from species that had been in the council for thousands of years, species that had never known real war, species that talked about peace but did nothing when others suffered. "You want justification," Wu Jin said quietly. "Here it is. We received a distress call. Children were dying. We came to help." "But you didn't just help," another council member said. "You annihilated the fleet. You could have captured them, brought them to trial." "Why?" Wu Jin asked. "So you could debate their punishment for another 5 years. So you could form committees and write reports." He shook his head. "We don't work that way. On Earth we have a saying, evil triumphs when good people do nothing. For 10 days they called for help. Where were you? Where was the council?" The chamber went quiet. "We were discussing the appropriate response," the speaker said defensively. "You were discussing," Wu Jin repeated. "While 3 million people died, you were having meetings while children cried for their parents." He stepped forward. Ambassador tensed, worried Wu Jin might go too far. But the admiral just stood there, looking up at the council. "You invited Earth to join this community 40 years ago," Wu Jin continued. "You told us we would be part of something greater, a civilization based on law and order. But when the law was broken, when the order was shattered, what did you do? Nothing. You watched. You debated. You waited." "We have procedures," the speaker said. We cannot just attack other species whenever we want. There weren't other species, Wujin said coldly. They were murderers. They killed millions of innocents to make a point, to scare others, and you were going to let them do it because you were afraid of looking uncivilized. He paused, letting his words sink in. You call us, you say it like it's an insult, like we're primitives who crawled out of a violent world. And you're right, Earth is a death world. Everything there tries to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, even the bacteria. We learned to survive by being tougher than everything that wanted us dead. We learned to fight because if we didn't fight, we died. And yes, that made us different from you. It made us harder, more willing to use violence. Wujin's voice grew stronger, but it also taught us something else. It taught us to protect the weak, because on Earth, if you don't protect your family, your tribe, your people, they die. It's that simple. They couldn't protect themselves. They needed help. They called for someone, anyone, to save them. And who came? Not you, not your fleets or your peacekeepers, us, the violent, the primitives. The chamber was completely silent now. Every eye was on Wujin. You want to know how we justify our actions? Wujin asked. Simple. We saved 80,000 lives. We stopped murderers. We made sure that anyone else thinking about attacking the weak will think twice. Because now they know. Now everyone knows. If you hurt the innocent, Earth will come for you. And we don't negotiate with people who kill children. The speaker tried to interrupt, but the conventions failed, Wujin said flatly. Your system failed. They followed all your rules. They appealed to the council. They asked for help through proper channels, and they died while you debated procedure. He looked around at all the council members. You don't have to like how we do things. You don't have to approve, but understand this. We will not stand by and watch innocents die while you have meetings. We will not wait for permission to do what's right. That's not who we are. Ambassador stepped forward to translate Wujin's words into the various council languages, though most of them already understood. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then quietly, one of the council members said, "What would you have us do, Admiral, except that might makes right?" "No," Wujin replied. "I want you to understand that sometimes right requires might. Sometimes peace needs warriors to protect it. That's what Earth is. We're the warriors you call when the talking stops working." The council session ended without any formal decision. They couldn't punish Earth without looking weak. They couldn't approve of Earth's actions without changing their own laws, so they did nothing. Again. But three things changed in the galaxy after that day. First, the Dominion formally surrendered to Earth. Not to the Council, to Earth. They were terrified of further retaliation. Their entire military doctrine was rewritten. They never attacked another peaceful colony. Second, the surviving population was relocated to a new world, a world protected by human warships. Earth promised that they would never be abandoned again, and humans kept their promises. Third, and most important, a new understanding spread across the galaxy. If you were in trouble, if predators came to your door, there was one species you could call. They wouldn't debate. They wouldn't hesitate. They would come with guns and fury, and they would make the predators sorry. Captain Ho kept the carved stone on his desk. He looked at it every day. It reminded him of why he wore the uniform, why he left Earth and traveled the stars. Some species were born to explore. Some were born to create. Some were born to think great thoughts. Humans were born to fight, to protect, to stand between the darkness and those who couldn't defend themselves. And when children cried for help, humans answered. Always.